Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast on this 2nd of March 2020. I'm your host, Cyril Gerald-Quinn, discussing the world of sports and pop culture. As always, we are streaming live here on my YouTube channel, Real Deal Podcast. The chat line is open for live chat. Any comments or questions, don't hesitate to hit me up on from that stand. Hit me up on that. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel, YouTube on Real Deal Podcast. It is in the right hand box, the right box, the bottom right box. If you go on Real Deal Podcast and certainly click subscribe if you so choose to. Comments, any questions, we'll be certainly happy to return all the questions or comments. Busy day, busy NBA night, busy NBA weekend. This past weekend, you had last night the second of two meetings with the Lakers and Pelicans, Zion and LeBron, and both meetings have been seemingly worth the price of admission. Both games won by the Lakers, and both virtuoso performances by LeBron James, but Zion Williamson didn't certainly did not take a back seat, especially last night. He also had 35 points in that game as the Lakers got by the Pelicans 122, 114. No Anthony Davis. LeBron had a big fourth quarter, but it was to me, and it was unlike the first meeting. I thought the first meeting, despite LeBron's 40, it was about what Zion did to Anthony Davis. That was the story of the first meeting. This meeting had LeBron, showing that the old man still has a few tricks up his sleeve as he carried the Lakers for the most part. I know Kuzma had a nice game, but it was all about LeBron last night, and you saw those two embrace at the end of the game. Now I don't know why that's people want to make a big deal out of that. Like LeBron has always been about the players. LeBron is somebody who's advocated for players. LeBron is somebody who always speaks highly of the young players. That's just who he is. I don't know why it's a big deal now in year 17 about LeBron James talking or fraternizing with some of the younger players because he's still going to try to destroy them. Look what LeBron does to these younger players or how he plays against these younger players. It's not like he takes it easy on these guys. Um, but LeBron is about the players. Like he's going to do things off the court with the CBA that he's doing stuff for the players. So I don't know why anybody would be surprised that LeBron James, especially he's going to compliment a Tatum, he's going to compliment a John Morant or a Zion Williamson. LeBron gets it. He knows that he has more days behind him than ahead of him as far as his NBA career goes, and he knows the end is near. And he sees the future of the NBA. He sees the future of the NBA, and he's going to even after LeBron is done with playing basketball, he will be a part of the NBA in some form of capacity, ownership. He'll be around. I don't see him as an analyst. I just don't think that's his thing. But he'll be around. I mean, and most of these NBA guys are around even after they retire in some capacity. So I don't think it's a big deal that LeBron shaking hands or hugging uh, Zion Williamson. I mean, LeBron understands what the future of the league looks like, and what the future of the league looks like. So, yeah, certainly have no problem with that. This run that Zion Williamson is on for his first 15 games of his career is beyond remarkable. I mean, he's at 24-1, close to 7 rebounds, shooting close to 60%, 59% from the field, and he's doing that in just under 29 minutes, 28.9 minutes of play. Um, I don't know who you compare him to. I've heard you've heard some of the Barkley comparisons, um, athleticism, but I think he's just a flat out better athlete than Charles Barkley. Somebody mentioned Sean Kemp a little. I heard that today. Not not as tall, but certainly again the athleticism. I don't know. I don't know who. I don't. I really don't know who to compare this guy to right now. The thing I like about how he's playing is his aggression. He's getting to the line 8.5 times a game. Now he needs to get his percentage up. He's only shooting about 64%, but that will come with some polishing and technique and work in the summertime in the summertime in terms of his shot. He'll get that up to about, you would think, about 70, 75. But you love his aggression. He's fearless in the paint. He plays like a big man. He plays bigger than what he is. And he could be any excess of 300 pounds or 280, 290, 300. It doesn't matter right now the way he's playing, but he plays like a 7 footer. As far as you wouldn't think that this guy is only about 6'6", 6'7". They're throwing lobs to him even when and these are not clean lobs. These are lobs in the half court. These are not just lobs on the fast break. So how he uses his body to clear out space, how he seals off his man, these are things that you just can't teach. So I think that his first 15 games couldn't go any better, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you this: if New Orleans finishes, if New Orleans makes the playoffs, and right now they're about, I think they're 3 games behind Memphis. Memphis has a nice lead on New Orleans. New Orleans would have the tiebreaker if they finish tied because they beat New Orleans twice this year. But if New Orleans makes the playoffs, then Zion Williamson is rookie of the year. I don't care how many games he hasn't played. If they make the playoffs, coming from 6-22 at one point, he is rookie of the year. Because from a number standpoint, and right now, how he's impacting the game, he's right there with John Morant. Now again, I give Morant the edge because Morant again has played the entire season. You have to count that counts for something. And right now, Memphis is in the playoffs. Memphis had a big win Saturday against the Lakers on I think it was Saturday. Yeah, on Saturday evening against the Lakers. That was a nice win for them, 105-88. But if New Orleans gets in the playoffs, I have to say that you have to say that Zion Williamson is the rookie of the year. As far as you had a big game Saturday night, great game Saturday night with Houston and Boston. And another monster game to cap off just a tremendous month for one Russell Westbrook, who to me is playing the best ball of his career. This wasn't just a February thing. He played great in January as well, but February he was even better. Basically 33, 7, and 6, shooting 54% from the field, only taking, and this is the key number for Westbrook, only taking 2.5 3-point field goals and three points a game. That has been his bugaboo throughout the course of his career. For the especially the last 3 or 4 years, that he was taking way too many 3-point shots. He's healthy this year. He's again, he hasn't lost much, if any, of his athleticism. And right now, Houston's played great since that Capella trade. They're about 11-2. They are beating good teams. They had road wins against Boston. They had a road win against the Lakers. So again, you have to love what you're seeing out of Houston. Now, I don't see this translating to the postseason, where you can lock in on a team for a course of 2 weeks in 7 games. I just don't see that. Eventually, I think that style of play will wear thin. And the thing about this is, to me, over the last month or so, it's been evident that it has become Russell Westbrook's team. Now, big picture, if Houston wants to win a championship, Russell Westbrook cannot be their best player. And he has been their best player for the last 2 months. Harden has to be the best player. And when I think about Westbrook versus Harden, if in terms of skill, clearly Harden is a better player. Clearly. He's just a more skilled player, better shooter, gets to the line. But in terms of will and a killer instinct and a mentality, that a fearlessness, it's clearly Westbrook. And that's, to me, that's where Harden fails the most. He does not have the will of a guy with his skill set. He has all-time great skill, but his mental his mental toughness does not equal to that to his skill set, and that's why he has continuously failed in the postseason. Until I see him come up big in the postseason, him lead a team, I will always believe that. And again, you're not winning a championship with Russell Westbrook as your number one player. It's just not going to happen. They won't even get to the finals from that standpoint. So they're not beating the Lakers. They're not beating the Clippers with Russell Westbrook as the number one guy. It's not a knock on Westbrook. To me, it's a knock on Harden because Harden should be that number one player. He should be not only the best player, he should be the guy that is leading them. But and again, I don't blame Westbrook at all. I blame Harden. And Harden was not good in that game against Boston, not at all. And it's been shown over the course of the last couple of years, if Harden's not getting foul calls, he becomes ineffective. Like, he's not going to the line anywhere from 8 to 12 times a game. He's not getting calls. Sometimes he disappears. Now we'll see in the postseason. Can they continue at this start with this style? Can you continue with the small ball? I think eventually they'll get that will wear thin in the postseason. I think teams right now they're catching teams off guard. Teams don't have time to prepare back-to-back nights. Teams if some teams may be coming in Houston third game in 4 nights and what have you, or coming off a back-to-back. It looks good in the regular season, but again, when you can lock into it in a 7 game playoff series, these are the best teams against the best defenses. I don't see it lasting over, especially again against. And again, we're not talking about the first round. We're talking about. I mean, I could see them. If they play Utah in the first round, I could see them beating Utah. If they play Dallas in the first round, they'll beat Dallas. But I'm talking about, but again, that Dallas series might be tricky for them. If I was Houston, I wouldn't want to see Dallas, because Luka can wreck a series. But they'll beat Utah. More than likely they'll beat Oklahoma City. But it's two teams that they're gonna have to go through to get to the finals, and that's of course L.A. and Lakers and Clippers and Lakers. And more than likely, they're going to go through both those teams. I don't see the Clippers falling. Even if Houston somehow gets to the number 2 spot or number 3 spot, I don't see the Clippers falling below 2 or 3. Clippers are not falling below 3. So let's say, for argument's sake, Houston gets to the 2nd spot. That's going to be a second round matchup. Clippers and Rockets will be playing in the second round. Again, I don't see the Clippers falling below that 3 spot at all. And again, I'm looking at the standings right now. Where are they at? You have Denver is 2 right now. The Clippers are 3. Rockets are 4. Rockets are just a game and a half behind the Nuggets and the Clippers. I don't think the Clippers are falling below. I don't think the Clippers are falling below, to that 4 spot. I think the Clippers will do enough to stay within that 2 or 3 spot. Right now, as it's set up, the Rockets would play the Lakers in the second round. Either way, the Rockets might have to play. They have to. It's probably going to go through both of them. Let's say the season where they end now. Denver's not beating the Clippers in that second round matchup. And the Rockets, let's say they, by some miracle, minor miracle, pull off the upset against the Lakers, they still have to go through both of those teams. Either way, even if they finish, and Denver is not beating the Lakers in the second round. Again, I don't think the Clippers will. I don't think the Clippers will fall below 3. That's just my personal opinion. And I don't think. Listen, I think the Lakers are 6 games in the loss column clear of the Nuggets and Clippers. The Lakers are not. The Lakers are going to be the 1 seed. So it's just a matter who finishes 2 through. I would say 2 through 4. Utah is a couple games has 22 losses, but I think it comes down to basically 2 through 4. How those teams are going to finish. Um, Again, Houston's become entertaining. I mean, they become entertaining now. At least there's a thought that they could possibly do some damage. About 2 weeks ago, they wasn't even you wouldn't even thought about Houston about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But at least now, at least they're entertaining. They fight, they're feisty, they're scrapping defensively. So they're fun to watch. A couple things. You have the Sixers apparently are putting Al Horford on the trading block. Um, Now Horford has 3 years left on his contract. They want to move him for some shooting. Um, I, you know, to me, it's more about that contract. I mean, that contract, that's a bad contract. Horford has about over $90 million left on his contract. You gotta pay Ben Simmons sometime. Ben Simmons is gonna be around for a while. I think they will try to move Embiid in the off season. They should try to move Embiid. I don't know that for sure, but they should try to move Embiid. I think they're looking at themselves and saying like, wow, this contract, this guy has been okay this year, but this is a bad contract, and it is absolutely a terrible contract when you look at it. Again, he has 3 years left on his contract at $27 million, 20, 27, 20, at well over at close to I would say close to $90 million left on that contract total. So it's a contract that's not going to age well. The Celtics actually caught a break for the Sixers signing Horford. It really did. They actually caught a break. I mean, Horford is not a post presence anyway, so it's not like the Celtics. He's a stretch four. He can play stretch. He can play some five. We know he's very good defensively. But again, he's not the same guy he was say 2 years ago. He's not that guy anymore. He's not that guy right now. He slipped just enough, and he really hasn't played well for the Celtics. No, excuse me, he hasn't played well for the Sixers. So they want to get. I think they would just want to get off that contract. As far as the Harden versus Giannis, you had them go back and forth. I'm fine with it if Harden uses it as some motivation and to put a chip on his shoulder. Harden goes out there, talks about Giannis, and then goes 7 for 23 against Boston. And that's the thing about Harden. Harden, he's too cool. Doesn't play doesn't play with an edge. Doesn't play. He's not ultra competitive. Harden. They play Milwaukee March 25th. You would like to see Harden go out there, put 45 to 50 on Milwaukee and make a statement. You would like to see that, but he's not that type of competitor. I mean, this is a guy who, after losing one of the most embarrassing playoff games in the last 5 years, losing at 30 points at home in an elimination game with no Kawhi Leonard against San Antonio, he's out in the club after losing the game and the series. Harden he's just one. Again, he does not have he has all time great skill set. His will does not match his skill. His will doesn't match his skill. Of course, this is March 2nd, 2020. This marks the anniversary of one of the great individual performances in the history of the NBA. Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. There were about 4,000 people there, and certainly about 100,000 people who said they were there. You look at the box score from this game. He scores 100 points, 33. It was 36 of 63 from the field, 28 of 32 from the foul line, free throw line, 25 points. 25 rebounds, 2 assists. Played all 48 minutes. Shot 21 field goal attempts in the fourth quarter. Um, Listen, Wilt Chamberlain is, statistically the greatest player of all time from a number standpoint. But Wilt Chamberlain, and again, legend, is an immortal, all those things without question. 30 and 22 for his career. Who knows how many block shots he averaged if they would have kept that. Led the league in assists one year. But Wilt Chamberlain, to me, is a guy who is a perfect example of numbers not telling the entire story, and it could just show you why the numbers don't have while you can't look at you can't just look at numbers. He only has 2 championships. For somebody that put up those type of numbers, he only have 2 championships. Let you know that his numbers did not completely impact winning to the level that you would think it would from a guy who, for his career, averaged 30 points and 22 rebounds. And it's not, listen, Wilt Chamberlain played with some of the greatest players ever. Wilt Chamberlain played with Hall of Famers. He played with Jerry West, Gail Goodrich, Hal Greer, Paul Airsley, Chet Walker, Al Adams. He played with some all-time greats. Guy Rogers. It's not like Wilt Chamberlain didn't play, it was Wilt and a bunch of bums. Wilt played with some all-time great players, but he only has 2 championships to show for it. There's something to be said for that. And again, his numbers in the postseason dipped. Bill Russell's postseason numbers went up. So you get any argument with the centers, Wilt has to be number 3. You cannot put Wilt Chamberlain ahead of Bill Russell. You can't put him ahead of Jabbar. Can't do it. Those guys were winners, and they won a lot. Wilt Chamberlain lost a Game 7 in Los Angeles at the Forum against a old Bill Russell in 1969. Yeah, a game he had no business losing. None. I'm glad I wasn't born as a Laker fan, to be honest with you, Dad. I'm really glad I wasn't born. I could imagine losing to the Celtics at home in a Game 7 with Bill Russell. Bill Russell's last game. He was old at that point. He was done. But he found a way to beat Wilt Chamberlain, prime Wilt Chamberlain. 69, Wilt Chamberlain was still in his prime. He was at the end of his prime, but he was still a dominant player. So, but again, 100 points is 100 points. Even in this wild up and down NBA style with 3-point shooting, I don't think anybody is approaching. I don't think anybody's scoring 100 points. I just don't think from a physical standpoint, the type of energy that you have to expend, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Maybe could have Kobe gotten 100? Could 2006 Kobe gotten 100 in 2020? Maybe. I certainly we would have loved to see 2006 Kobe playing in this era where you basically can't touch guards, where you can't touch perimeter players, and where the game where you don't have that many shot blockers, because there's not. And with the 3-point shot being to the the way it revolutionizing the sport, I don't see anybody approaching 100 points anytime ever. I think that's one of those records that will never be broken. A couple things before I let you go. Number one, I'm worried about college basketball. I have not, I do a number of college basketball games at series over the course of the year, so I'm not completely detached from it. But this year, I've probably watched less college basketball than I've ever watched. Now, I want to say part of it is that North Carolina is terrible. Maybe, but even with that being said, there's no compelling stories in college basketball right now. There's no player that you say, listen, I have to watch this player because he might be the next great pro. There's no Zion. There's not even a guy like even as good as Jason Tatum was in college. And there's no dominant team. And when you don't have one of those two things, if not both of those things, it makes for a college basketball. Now, again, you want to say it come March, the field is wide open. There's no dominant team. Okay, that's how you want to sell it. You can try to sell it, but right now, there's really no reason to watch college basketball right now. Now, when the tournament starts, everybody be glued to the tournament on that Thursday through Saturday, especially those first 3 or 4 days when there's a bunch of games and everybody has their pools and brackets out and what have you. But right, I mean, look at the future of college basketball. The NBA players are going to, one and done guys are going to be able to go pro soon, right out of high school, which is going to even suck out even more talent out of the college game. And then where's college basketball going to be left with? Because right now, the stars of the college basketball are the coaches. it's Mike Krzyzewski, it's Roy Williams, it's the guy from Mark Few, Tom Izzo, Calipari. Those are the stars of college basketball right now. And I don't care about watching the coaches. They're great coaches, but it still comes down to the players. And this is only going to get worse as the years go along. Again, and the NBA talking about passing, letting guys in straight from high school in the next, maybe at least I think at the latest by 2022, in another 2 years. So it's been a bad year for college basketball. There's no two ways about it. They need a star. And I mean, you need somebody too that's gonna that you can gravitate to. If you don't have a star, you have to at least have a dominant team. And again, there's no dominant team and there's no superstar player in college basketball right now. James Lipton passed away today at the age of 93 of bladder cancer. Lipton hosted Inside the Actors Studio. Is a show that I frequently watched for years when it was on. I mean, it interviewed who's who's list of actors and actresses over the course of the show's 10 years. And the show was on for at least, I'm gonna say, I don't know, that show was on for at least 15 years, if not long. Yeah, at least 15, between 10 to 15 years. Um, he was a great interviewer. I mean, he was a great interviewer. It was about the actor, didn't make it about him, kept it simple with the questions, would go through their careers, did it just was a tremendous interview. I'm always fascinated with interviews or interviewee. Got people who interview for a living, whether it be Oprah Winfrey or Ted Koppel, Charlie Rose, Larry King. He was tremendous. I mean, he was. I didn't realize he was 93 until I found out he passed away today. But he again, you live 93 years, and that's getting your money's worth. Without there's no two ways about that. So you had that. You had that today with him passing away. Tony Romo just signed a contract for $17.5 million a year to be retained by CBS. They were allegedly, reportedly in talks with Peyton Manning if Romo was did not return. Now, apparently, Peyton Manning waited too long to get back to CBS, that he turned down a deal or was pondering a deal that was in excess of $10 to $12 million. Manning will have other opportunities. It sounds like maybe some opportunities from ESPN. Here's the thing about Romo's deal, and it's not for me to count someone else's checks, but I just don't understand why CBS would pay a guy that type of money who's only going to be on the air for one game, for the better for probably one game a week. I mean, Stephen A. Smith just signed a contract that supposedly pays him $8 to $10 million. Stephen A. Smith is on a show 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. He's on the radio, ESPN radio. He does stuff for the NBA on ESPN. He's earning his $8 to $10 million a year. He does Sports Center, does some things with that with post game analysis, and or he'll be at some of the key games with his opinion, hot takes. So, he's working all over the place. I mean, Tony Romo's gonna be working one day a week. The previous high for that position was $8 million when John Madden was with NBC way back when. I think Madden his last season was the 2008 season. $17.5 million for Tony Romo. And again, I think Romo's pretty good, but I don't tune in to watch the NFL on CBS because of Tony Romo. I mean, the NFL sells itself. But it's good for him. If somebody's willing to pay it to you, then you must be worth it. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. This podcast will be available via iTunes.apple.com, Stitcher, Blog Talk Radio, Spotify, as well as as well as my YouTube channel anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes after the end of the podcast. That's going to wrap it up. I will see you later on this week with a couple podcasts, a couple surprises. I'm out.